Good afternoon, beautiful beings of light. Welcome to the Wisdom Circle, our first for January 2024. It is our second year of doing this show. I am so excited to be here with you ladies. So we have Heather from the Crone Zone and Terry Suzuki from Kigaru Spiritual Journeys. We have Terry Lee from Pure Visionary Psychic Medium and our SunPsychic Jean and Wisdom Seeker Joan. Thank you all so much for being here. It's going to be fun today. We're going to talk about ethics. And I think that's a subject that is imperative considering our mediumship, psychic abilities, Akashic record readings, and also energy healing. These kinds of things all come under the same umbrella as far as I'm concerned. So I'd love to talk about that. And hi, Sherry, Trancing with Spirit. Thanks for being here. And Lark Kemper, thanks for being here. Good to see you all today. It's my first Monday back from Colorado and COVID, and I feel great. And it's wonderful to be here with all of you. I appreciate it very much.
That's wonderful. What is the weather there in the Keys?
It's probably 80.
Wow.
Humid. Hot and humid. I've had to turn my AC down because I'm so hot coming from the mountains. I still haven't acclimated back home.
I think we'll have to have a meeting at Priscilla's house.
I think that would be fun, especially those of you that are getting so much snow in the next few days.
Yes.
There's probably going to be snowed in, and Terry Lee's going to be snowed in.
Oh, yeah.
Which I used to love to be snowed in. It was so much fun.
Mm-hmm. Good
family. But that was back in the day when we would drink and party the whole time. Hi, Itza. Thank you for being here.
It's Epiphany Noel. Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Oh. Yay, yay, yay. It's a frequency. I love that, Epiphany. That's really cute. Oh, Lark says he was raised in Hollywood, Florida. That's quite a bit north of me. I'm in Key West, 90 miles from Cuba.
Ah.
And we have Ice Wolf. Hello. I'm going to go ahead and put up the just the first slide. So we want to talk about ethics for all of us today. And it's just really going to be a roundtable discussion. And I hope you guys will participate. Please put all caps if you have questions, caps and emojis, because we're all crones and it helps us see the tiny print. I guess we can go ahead and get started. So what I did was I broke it down into 3 sections today, and I just would like to put up a slide and then us discuss whatever's on the slide and how it relates to you. So I have a sample code of ethics, a sample disclaimer for websites and YouTube, and then some guidelines for the client. So I'm going to call us practitioners because that's what Heather and I always called ourselves when we were doing a lot of energy healing. Mm-hmm. And then I'd like to call the sitters or just clients. I think it's less woo-woo that way. Some people don't like woo-woo, so I think it's a bit less woo-woo. So, code of ethics. I didn't know there was such a thing for our type of practitioners, but it's pretty much generic. We all want to serve the best interests of our clients, conducting professional activities without causing or intending to cause harm. We'll treat my clients with equal respect, regardless of their origin, race, religion, gender, age, or sexual preference. I will keep confidential the names of clients and all information shared or discussed during readings unless otherwise requested by the client. I will recommend clients consult a licensed professional for the advice of legal, financial, medical, or psychological nature. And I will respect my client's right to refuse or terminate their reading at any time, regardless of prior consent. So I think those are pretty generic. We all want, my experience is always to work from my soul, my love, when I'm getting a reading, and I know that's true with all of you ladies as well.
Yes.
But what do you think about a code of ethics for our profession? Curious.
Well, I think it's about time we had one because there's been all sorts of people doing it. But I think if we had a code of ethics, more of us would be on the same line of thought, and
Mhm.
the public could be more respectful of us. They know
When I
what-
was researching it, I found this code of ethics or similar ones on many different pages, many different websites where they put what the client could expect from them, what the client should expect, what they can expect from the client, what they expect from the client, what the client can expect from them, and then basically disclaimers. And
Yeah.
so there's a bunch of interesting one out there if you guys want to research further. But I'm curious to how you all deal with clients and your code of conduct. Do you have your own personal code of conduct?
I think maintaining and creating a safe place for each of us, a safe place for me, the practitioner, and a safe place for the client, and to have open and clear and transparent expectations on both parts and equal respect. And it's we have a little bit of an advantage because people can try before they buy here, and they kind of get to know us and a little bit about our readings and things before they would book a reading with us. But yeah, it's sometimes you're taken off guard, and I do frequently get readings. I frequently patronize my other psychics and mediums in the community to open up my awareness. And it's just so heartwarming and so reassuring, the care that they take and how safe I felt with them, and how important it is that this community holds together like this. It's really a beautiful network of individuals that are of the utmost. I really feel like there's a purpose behind all of it.
Oh, yeah.
I felt that way too when I first got, well, first of all, I was watching a lot of YouTube, a lot of practitioners and different types of readings. And it really warmed my heart just being in the chat, watching how lovely the people in the chat were, how they communicated with each other as well as the readers. And it's one reason that I went ahead and started a channel, because I didn't feel like I was going to be attacked. And I was terrified of that because of the way that some of the other social media people act. But this community is, I have found to be so supportive, loving, compassionate with each other as well as with us.
I find that not only do I want to be an honorable member of this community, but also of the cosmic community. I mean, I consider the creator of the universe to be my boss. And before each reading I do, I have a ceremony that I go through, and I ask the creator to honor my intention. And I won't give you the whole thing, but it's something that directs my soul to know it's business time. It's time to be that channel. And when I go in with a private reading, we always do a dedicated prayer prior to our reading. And those kind of things just really, I think, are the perfect mindset for an honest and free sharing of spirit with each other. So I feel very honored. It is my eternal gratitude to the creator to be able to do this. It's very important.
I think we all definitely, at least the ladies here, I really feel like we are all divinely guided to be here and do what we're doing, as well as others in our community. I mean, it's It is divinely guided.
Yes.
And I think that's why people like us, because they know we come from our heart.
Mhm.
I think that's a big deal.
And just like in any other type of business or whatever, there are people out there who aren't coming from their heart, or maybe they are, but get twisted up along the way. But there's a lot of, because people are coming to us with very personal, very important questions that are, really material to their lives in many cases.
Mm-hmm.
I just take that so seriously and try to do the very best job I can. And there are people who maybe let their egos get in the way or whatever, and it's more, I don't know, maybe sometimes it can be dangerous out there if you get the wrong person. Is what I'm stumbling
It
around trying to
absolutely
say.
It absolutely can.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel strongly about ethics. And it started before I started doing this, when I was just in the workaday world and I was a boss of other people, I had a great horror of doing something or giving them information that they shouldn't necessarily have yet, or that was unqualified, that might hurt their career. I
Mm-hmm.
had a great horror of hurting their career. And so I have a great horror now of hurting somebody by giving them, bad information, or not letting them know where this is coming from, or, just making sure that they are comfortable, that I'm comfortable, that we're safe, that
Mm-hmm.
we're doing it right from our hearts.
Mhm.
That's very important to me. It's always been important. So having a baseline for everybody can't hurt, because
Oh yeah.
with a baseline you can always add more, but you don't
Mhm.
take away less usually.
Yeah, absolutely. I think ethics has always been important to me. I was in nursing originally, and then I went into medical device manufacturing. And it was, I was in quality assurance and regulatory affairs. So making things right the first time was important to me, making sure that the products were safe that we were sending out. I still, it feels like my whole life has been service to others. And it's grown even more so from when I was younger. Now that's really all I think about, and is how can I benefit others with my knowledge, with my readings, with
Mhm.
whatever I do.
Yes.
I
So,
find, I find that, because I was in special education to start with, and that is supposed to be a very ethical and private thing. And so when I went into doing more of this, I simply took the same ethics from the one and
Mhm.
brought them over to there, because it's got to be ethical. And ethical means you don't talk to anybody else about anybody, especially if they can figure out who you're talking about. It's private, and it should be just you and that client.
Exactly. I think confidentiality is huge, and
Mhm.
I don't share. I don't
Yeah.
share what I know of other people. I do believe that you can share situations that are as a learning experience without names or enough information to identify who that was. I
Sure.
think
Right.
that part is fine. I think
Exactly.
other than that, conf- total confidentiality is required.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so Sherry is saying that it's similar to the oath in nursing.
Hmm.
And Juno is saying, first, do no harm.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
Lark Kemper says, I think you guys walk with honor. That's how I perceive honor. It means a lot to me. Something this world needs a whole lot of, and
And
love.
love. Right, Lark. I agree. So how do we help people that are new to doing this to help them grow? I guess shows like this.
Shows like this.
Just like this, and if you had
Mhm.
makeup brochures, at one time that was very popular, that you had a brochure to go along with, so they could take something and write on it. And you could put those in your brochure, so that they know what they're getting and what's being expected.
That,
And
on your website.
Website.
yeah,
There's some really amazing samples out there on websites. There were too many to count, but researching for yourself what you want, how you want it is
right.
pretty easy these days with Google. And I know that we all share. Let's go to a disclaimer. You guys ready for a disclaimer?
Sure.
Sure.
Let's see. Now, I these are very generic and it can be used for YouTube websites. And it, like I said, this covers whether we're doing energy work, mediumship, anything like that. Content offered is intended for entertainment purposes only and is up to your own personal interpretation. Readings are not intended to be and should not be interpreted as medical, financial, legal, psychological, or career advice. If you have a medical, financial, or legal issue, we recommend seeking the advice of a licensed professional. We do not do third-party readings, and clients must be 18 years of age or older. I can leave that up for a minute, but do you all have anything to add to that? And maybe we should also talk about why we don't do third-party readings, why it's not ethical.
That's a good one. Mm-hmm.
And same thing for people under 18 years of age.
Oh, yeah.
I think those are two big ones.
I kind of want to talk about clients under 18 years of age because I do feel that I'm very, very ethical, but I have read clients under 18 years of age, but it's situational. Like one time I was at a fair and I had just spoke to a room full of people and was doing many readings like we do on our regular shows here. And just as everybody was leaving the room, this young woman, to me, she looked to be about 14, but I think she was actually about 17 or 18, actually. You know, because I'm an old crone now. They all look young.
Everybody looks young.
But she ran into the room and just got right in front of me real quick. And she said, "My mother was in this room when you were reading her, and she told me that you can heal me." And I'm like, oh man. Well, first of all, I don't, I'm starting to kind of like back away. And there's an angel standing beside me saying, no, we'll do this one. We'll do it. We want to do this.
It's really good that your guides can tell you that. So that they just pop in and go, this one's okay.
Yeah. So I said, oh, well, they're telling me, yeah, that we can do this. So let's go to my booth. And I still wouldn't have done it, even if the angel told me to do it, if her parents weren't there. But her mother was there. Oh. Her mother came with us. She was observing. And and as she told me what the thing she wanted healed was, I realized she's older than I think, and that she's very aware of what the problem is. And so and because the angel said, yep, we want to take this one on, I said, okay, let's do it, and we did it. But let's say that same girl was a 10-year-old and her mother's coming up beside me. I still don't think a 10-year-old would know.
I agree.
So still in that situation, they would have to be much closer to 18 and there would have to be a whole lot of things in place before I'd say yes.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Those are good guidelines, Terry. Those are very good.
Yeah.
And I think at least for me, well, at a fair also, I read someone who was probably 14, 15, but her aunt was there and and sitting right next to me, and they had been through everywhere and decided that I was, the least scary looking one. And she had all kinds of questions. I was a little leery about it, but it was like the guides were in charge, and they gave me so many different images of the same thing. You're at the start of this journey, and here's the path going up the mountain, or you're just rowing a boat and you're just off from shore, and you've got this, sunny skies ahead. It was the same thing. You're early in your journey and things look good. So no matter what she asked, I think she was being protected for not getting any. Oh, and then I saw her dogs. So that made it feel like it was evidence that I was at least doing
Validation.
something. But it was like, I don't think the guides wanted her to know anything more than that. So, but I think it's wise not to rely on that, to make sure that, we do have guidelines. And I wouldn't have, if she had wandered up on her own and didn't have this woman who knew quite a bit about business and seemed to be okay with this, that I don't think I would have done it on her own, definitely.
Yeah, I I feel like if they're that young, they really don't have a sense of discernment. So they don't know what resonates with them and what does not.
Mm-hmm.
So they have no idea of really, they just take you everything for fact. And we always do state that what resonates with you, take. What does not, don't. They have no concept of that.
Yeah.
That if they're really young.
I agree. I know my 17-year-old granddaughter wants a reading, and because she's been around me all her life, I think she's perfectly capable of discernment at her age. But
Yeah.
that's because she's been around and is a psychic herself. So,
Well, again, it's on a individual basis.
yeah,
Mhm.
I agree.
You have to use your own discretion.
Well, okay. What do you think about third-party readings? Who wants to go there?
To me, that's infringing on somebody's rights. They don't know you're reading, and without their permission, it's like you're infringing on them. To me,
That's
I
how-
do what I call like the mother's executive summary. I'll say, I can't read directly about this person, but it's like the executive summary. They on a big report. It's just a one paragraph. And that allows me to ask spirit to tell the mother, when it's usually the mother, what she can do to, and it's like, he's going through a little rough time, but but then maybe you need to just lay off for a while or not contact him, or this would be helpful. This is, what action item can she do?
Yeah.
And that's, so it'll be something very general about the child. And
like that.
but then what's the action item for my client? And that's how I get around that one.
I think that works perfectly.
I use it. I always consult the guides right off the bat when I get a message about or a question about relationships. There's a third person involved. And I always say, I can't directly read someone who has not given me permission to read them. However, I can read the energies surrounding this relationship. And when I do cards on that, that's what I will ask the guides to give me, an energy around this relationship. And I also say, I never tell people what to do. I have done readings for people who describe things to me that as a mother, I would say, you need to get rid of this person right now, right? But you have to deliver the appropriate message for that soul that you're dealing with right then and there. And always remind them that everybody has freedom of choice. So, that's always the wild card in any relationship. And just tell them that I will not directly tell you to to do anything specific with this person, like drop this person or run. I may tell them to consider something.
Mhm.
Consider how you're feeling. If you're not feeling happy and you're uncomfortable, you might consider other options. That's as far as I
I
go.
love that one. You might consider other options. How generic and wonderful is that?
Gently. You just got to be gentle.
Very gentle.
That's code for kick them to the curb.
Florida. It's a suggestion.
No, it's really important to empower and keep the power and the just the active just their power in the client's
Yes.
in the client's hands.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because it is.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing I think we do have to make really strong is that everybody has free will. What we're
Yes.
telling you, you take with a grain of salt. What resonates is great, leave the rest. But it's up to you. It's your life. You're responsible for your life. And nothing that I can say is going to change that.
That's
And
correct.
anybody can make a decision that affects everything that you're doing. So,
Yeah.
anything can change.
At in-person fairs, I often, if I'm reading a room, I'm just doing the mini readings again. People often get so caught up in it. They're like, man, I wish I had a message to take back to somebody. So they often ask for third-party readings. Like, could you give me a message from so and so that I can take back to my grieving uncle? And so I'll have to tell them. I use that as like a teaching moment. This is what's considered a third-party reading. I don't have permission from that person to read through them. But I also don't like to just let it hang there, like,
Right.
no, I'm not going to give you anything that might help soothe them. So a lot of times I let them know, well, I can read your spirit though.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can ask your angels and guides about, what might be happening. So in other words, sometimes then I will be allowed then to read them and get a message. It's usually a very, very generic message to pass on,
Right.
but not doing a third party. I'm not looking into their soul and
Right.
finding
That's very good.
information.
Have you had anybody that just said, do it? I don't care. Have you ever had anybody be obstinate about anything like that?
Yeah, but I just said, I'm sorry, I can't.
Just, I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Mm.
I mean, I haven't had clients that got upset, but I know it happens. They don't like what they're hearing. Go ahead, Jean.
So
Tell us.
when it just reminded me that somebody did ask about somebody's time of leaving the earth. And I thought, why would
Whoa.
you want to know that? And I said, in the beginning, I remember when I said my intention was to provide the information that is for your highest good. And I said that I don't feel as though that is for your highest good. It's not for any of us to know. And it's one of those sacred things that you just don't cross the line. But people really do. I mean, I guess there may be some people out there that will give them that information. It's and it's not for us to judge the other psychics. They may have a different philosophy or reason behind
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure. I mean, I just don't know. It's not that it's right or wrong. It's that
It's what
don't.
feels right to us.
Mhm.
What feels right to us individually is where we can go and what we can say. And I don't want to judge anybody else for their readings and what they do. I don't want to be judged. I don't want to judge them. It's just what my particular thing is about ethics.
And the other thing is there's just a little bit of a nuance to some of these things when it comes to online readings and private readings.
Mhm.
There's
Yes.
just a little bit of differences. I mean, mainly it's the same, but there's a little bit more freedom, a little bit more back and forth that we can talk to them and ask them, and you know, with certain questions. But mainly it's for both, for either or.
Right. You know, I have an interesting observation. Sterling, who I think is very good at this, will get a question and someone will come in and say, you know, and I'm using this as an example. This is not what I actually heard, but they may come in and say, you know, someone had told me that, you know, I'm cursed, or that there was an evil presence in my vibration or something like that. And he'll stop and then he'll go, well, that's not the message I'm getting from my guides. And then he just goes on with the message that he has for them. And I just think that's so professional, makes it very easy. There's no judgment. And he just goes on with the message, which is usually
He's
great.
very good about that.
Yeah, he's good.
Yes, for sure.
So I admire him for that. And it's very important for us not to judge.
Absolutely. In our life period. But that's a whole nother show.
Oh, yeah. And I'm going to do it
And we
It's
do
just
learn.
on
We
this
do-
channel. Sorry.
We do learn from other readers in the community, and we do learn from each other. And it's important for us to continue our own practice, our own personal practice, our own in-depth connection with our spirit guides and angels and information. And we do this in order to maintain that, just to maintain at being sharp as we possibly can. And, you know, nobody's perfect. I know that I have been either tired or overworked, or, you know, whatever it is, that I may not have been as eloquent with my readings or the delivery of my messages. And I've worked on trying to be tactful and trying to hold what my first reaction might be, instead of kick them to the curb. Choose other options, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's a practice. You know, you don't come out of the gate with all of this you know, fine tuning or just
I'm
polish.
fine-tuning all the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've learned so much from you ladies as well as others out there in our community that you're right. You just fine tune it with time. We're all getting better. We're all getting more aware. Our gifts are growing as we use them,
Mhm.
as we practice. Yeah, it's pretty amazing, actually.
It
I
certainly is. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I had some starred things that I thought I would put up.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what were you going to say, Terry?
Oh, well, go ahead and do those first. It would be appropriate for you to do those now, I think.
Okay, let's see. Let's see what this says. Lark says, clients have to understand you are a channel for them to heal themselves. I have seen and remember Dolores Cannon stating that you are holding space so that the client can heal themselves. You know, that's exactly right, Lark. We don't do any healing. You heal yourself. It's you holding space for yourself and being able to receive the energy that that can heal you. But the energy works through me. It has nothing to do with me at all. It's just I'm directing the energy flow, and you are actually healing yourself.
Right. And if you're a person who's saying, no, you're not going to do this, there's not a thing we can do.
That's very true. You have to be open-minded. And that takes us to the next slide. But before we go there, I did show that. Juno says her mother took her to Lilydale for readings. Oh, how cool. Before she was 18. She was on the premises, but not within earshot of the reading I received. Who wants their mother standing over their shoulder when they're getting a reading? Not me. I wouldn't want that either. And those of you that aren't familiar with Lilydale, it is an entire village of psychic mediums, and they have all kinds of wonderful programs in the summertime and are inundated with people from all over the world that come
And
to
to
see
be
them.
invited to read there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you have to be invited and you have to be tested before you can read there. It's quite a lengthy process from what I understand. And Juno says, I feel that no matter the age, within reason, all messages are best worded in ways that the receiver is able to comprehend. Meet them at their level of understanding.
Very good. Very good.
That's
Agree with that.
necessary.
Mhm.
It's a matter of integrity, privacy, and respect to all involved. Yep, that covers it all. That pretty much covers it all.
It does.
Hi, Tara Stash. Welcome. And then Craig says, Sterling answered all my questions about my relationship with Clara. This has let me know that Clara gave me my dignity back as a human being and will always be there. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes.
Let's see. I think that was it.
That's, yeah.
Yep.
I like what Juno Spear just said. She said, be a conduit like a hollow bone. And that's all we really are. We're a conduit.
That's exactly right. We're conduits.
I love that. That is actually one of the things I asked the creator to honor my intention of being a conduit of the creator's energy, love and light.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Anything else on that? Or we can go to client guidelines. Be clear with your intentions and expectations. Write down your questions. Be honest. Be open. Being open is a big one. Ask active, direct questions and do not feed the reader with extraneous information. Would you all have anything to add to that?
No, I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah, don't wait until the end of the reading to ask the question that you came there to ask.
That's a good one.
Because they say, I just want to hear what the spirit guides want to say. And we'll do, 45, 50 minutes to a reading. And I'll be like, is there anything else before we go? And they land the big one on me. And I'm like, whoa.
Whoa.
I have to say that's the most frustrating, and it happens often where that they think that somehow I will pull that right out of the ether.
Right.
And if that they don't have something that, if they do go general, then the spirits go general, and so I just want them to hit me with the big one right away.
Right.
I know that when I do a private, right after we do the dedication with each other, the prayer, and then I say, now, what are the things we'll be discussing today? And I will write them down. So I've got a list of the things that they're prepared to ask. And sometimes that elicits stuff that they hadn't thought of before the reading. So
it really does. And even halfway into the reading, you can get information and you go, oh, wait a minute. I need to go down this rabbit hole. For sure. Intention is everything for me.
Yeah, it is.
Knowing what it is you want, what you intend the relationship to be between us. What do you want to know?
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing that. And sometimes you don't feel comfortable enough to actually come out until you get these validations of all the other readings.
Yeah.
And then you feel compelled, like, well, if she's told me all of that, maybe I can ask this. And there's no right or wrong. I'm not saying it was good or bad. It was just that is sometimes happens, and it's okay. I would really like to maybe dive into it and schedule a different reading or try and get the best information I can with the time that we have. But it's just something to be aware of so that you know how to prepare. It wasn't a judgment, and I didn't mean for it to come off like that.
Yeah.
No, I don't think you came off like that, Jean. I didn't take it as a judgment.
No.
Another thing is honesty, being honest with the readers or your whatever we're called, practitioner. You need to tell the truth. You can't play games. You can't try to trick us. That's not ethical on your end. Trying to, will they get this information or tell, I don't know,
Yeah.
you've got to be honest, and you have to be open enough to realize that who you thought you were going to talk to, who was going to come across, may not be the entity that comes across that needs to speak to you or give you a message. It may be something totally that you hadn't thought of. So you really need to be open to hearing things that may not make sense to you at first. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yes.
Yeah. I also, it's very hard if a client also knows what they want to hear. And they're
Yeah.
certain they're going to hear that. That's so frustrating. I remember I was reading a lady in a room in front of a lot of people, and she wanted to hear from her grandson who had died at birth and was a twin.
Oh,
But
wow.
she didn't tell me he was a twin. And so she asked some really specific questions. She didn't tell me he died at birth either. And I'm like, okay, well, I got your grandson here, and he's presenting as 9 years old. And now he's telling me about his life. He's telling me what he'd like to do in life. He was very aspirational, which led me to think, well, maybe he didn't have a chance to do these things. And so
Right.
she listened, and then she asked another question: who is he most close to on this earth?
Oh.
And I'm like, well, his mom, his dad, and you, his grandma. And she was like, she got so mad. She's like, no, it's his twin. He's got to be close to that twin. And I'm like, well, that's not what he's saying. And he died at birth. How could he be 9 years old? And I'm like, well, here's the problem. So I explained to her before she walked out in a huff, which she did, that a baby at birth can't talk to me. And in fact, sometimes I will be reading somebody and they'll present as a baby at birth.
Mhm.
And I will ask them to please grow up so you can talk to me. And then I'll
That's
see them
interesting. I didn't know that.
grow up.
Yeah.
And then they can talk to me. A 9-year-old can talk to me, a baby cannot. And so she didn't realize she's not going to get a baby out of this because they can't talk. And they, on the other side, they can present at any age.
Sure.
That's
So
right.
I can
That's
ask
right.
them to grow up and talk with me. And then I can't, I have ethics too. If they're telling me who's the closest, that's who's the
You
closest for
can't tell them what they want to hear. You've got to
Right.
tell them what's
I
there.
can't change that part. So she still walked out in a huff, but that's
Well,
okay. It's okay.
sometimes
know.
that can't be helped.
Right.
Exactly.
But people in the audience got to learn from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had one once where I didn't really figure out what was going on until after. But this man had been referred to me by somebody else I'd read for. And I was getting lots of stuff about his business, about his family, about his kids, and all of that kind of stuff. But he kept saying, but how about my personal life? I'd say, well, I see you and your wife and blah, blah, blah. But he kept going on the personal life. And I think and I just wasn't getting anything until after the reading, I thought, oh, that he was having an affair with the person who referred him to me. And I never got back in touch with him. He never got back in touch with me. But it was like I did not put that together, and Spirit didn't let me put that together during the reading because I would have been going blah 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 blah. But or maybe I could have handled it if he would have come out and said it, and then I could have handled it.
Well,
as
see,
a
that's
professional.
about being honest. That's
Yeah,
another
yeah.
thing about being honest with
Gotta
your
be honest.
But
practitioner.
this is fairly early on for me. And even if it had come to me at the time of what was really happening, I don't know if I would have said anything anyhow. So I think I got the message, but later on. So I don't feel like I did any damage.
Wow.
Wow.
But anyhow, phew, got out of that one.
Wow. What about you, Jean?
I had somebody who's came from a family of psychics, and she I said, you know, how we describe some people, their mannerisms, their a little bit of their likenesses or what they tend to do. And then we get that validation. And when I say, does that make sense? Does this sound like your grandfather? You know, because we need that point of connection, that
Yeah.
validation before they come in closer. And
Mhm.
she's like, maybe.
Oh God.
Like trying to test me, like she did, and I don't want her to give me information. I just want her to validate the information I'm saying. Like just say yes or no, maybe. And I could, like, you would know. And honestly, if I was a better psychic or medium, I probably would be more certain. But right now in my development, I need that validation in order to pull your loved one in closer. And that's the way I work. So the way I work and her expectations of what her family of generations of psychics may have done, they may have been extremely talented and very, you know, experienced, where, you know, it's just a little bit different for me. But it was her expectations, and she just really didn't get a good reading. And it was her grandfather. I could tell it was him. I just wanted to make sure it was somebody that she knew and not just the guy down the road, you know.
Mhm.
And he was coming through, and he wanted to talk to her, but she was really like, and I really I couldn't without her validation. I tried my best, but it was so it's important for the client or the client to know that it's their participation and not giving us answers, but just being there to validate. It's really important. Mhm.
Seems to me that she had dual intentions with that reading.
Yeah.
And one was to connect, and the other one was to test you, or to satisfy some part of herself that would say, "Well, this can't be real." So, yeah, it kind of seems like she had two intentions going on there.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I've noticed in the past, if it seems like my guides let me know when somebody's testing me.
Yes, yeah,
There's something that happens. It hasn't happened enough for me to say, oh yeah, that's what that means. But when they do, and a few private readings, they've done that. I will just take note of what's happening and I'll say out loud, oh, this is an interesting question. This is an important question, but I am being told by my guides to step it up. So, in other words, rather than talk directly to their person, I'm going to talk to their higher self. So, I go up a level to the higher self. And you can't argue with that then.
Right.
So,
right.
yeah.
That makes
Excellent.
sense. And how
Yeah.
do you all feel about it when people run for different readers asking the same question?
Actually
Just
don't know.
curious.
You
They're
know,
gonna
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say they're going to get different answers because everybody sees something different. They communicate with somebody different, usually. And so they're going to have different answers. They got to assume that.
Mhm. That's very true.
Mhm.
And I always just sort of, when I go into readings, I release myself. And that's part of what we were talking about, ego. I just release that. And if somebody, I mean, I've had people say, well, you're not vetted. And, that kind of hurt. And then I'm like, well,
What
maybe I'm.
does that even mean, you're not vetted? Who's supposed to
Well,
vet
back
you?
in the day, this is the old school kind of thing we're talking about, where we came from, really. Psychic mediums were vetted. And then they had that as something stated in their reference to themselves. So they
Right.
would say, I was vetted by this organization of psychics to prove. But I just kind of thought later, well, the souls I read on the other side are what vets me. The validations that I get,
Mhm.
and the ways that people tell me I've helped them with messages from their guides. I'm just the vessel. So I don't have to take it personally. And I can, my job is to just love them as a soul. Love
Yeah.
them as a soul on the planet, and they're on a journey, and not to take things personally. That's for sure.
Yeah. That's a really big one for us. We can't take
It
it
is
personally.
huge.
Otherwise, I'd crawl in a hole and pull it in
Oh,
behind me.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
But
yeah.
validation's everything for us. That,
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of practice sessions the last few months, and the validation that I've gotten from my practice sessions have just given me so much confidence on what I'm receiving,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
I almost don't question it anymore. I just there it is.
Yeah. Spit it out.
And even though it doesn't make sense to me sometimes, it's like that's exactly what the one thing that I thought made no sense is what really clicks with them.
Oh yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
Priscilla, did you see what hypnicity has said? I really like it. It helps me understand what's going on just a little bit.
I see all the different perspectives. Yeah. I will ask the same question once in a while. It's for me, not a reflection on the reader.
Ah, okay.
That's good.
That's good. Yeah. Good point.
That is a very good
Yeah.
point. Thank you, Hypnicity. I like that.
Before we wind up, if I may, Priscilla,
Mhm.
I kind of wanted to talk about something that we have to deal with that maybe not psychic mediums in the past had to deal with, and that is YouTube. That is we have shows that we present on YouTube, and many times we'll talk or we'll have things that we share on our channel. And I think that's a real big part of ethics too, that anything that we share that is from another source, we have researched thoroughly before we say. And then it kind of applies more to people who do maybe political stuff. They'll be more likely to put up a news piece or something. But there are other things that you can put up. And we just have to make sure that we really research what we are passing on to others. I feel that
Absolutely.
is a really huge responsibility. And it also plays into the whole ego of it too, that it's not about how many subscriptions you have or how many comments you get or,
Mhm.
how much money you get, which we all know is it
Yeah, I don't get anything from YouTube.
doesn't cover our expenses, folks. Just want y'all to know that. We love
No, it certainly
we love it.
doesn't.
Yeah. So that's another aspect though that we have to kind of watch out for.
Well, we have started, we didn't in the beginning, but the shows that we do now, what the research we have, we put it in the description box,
It's very
a
good.
link of
Mhm.
pages that we've used, information that we've used.
Yeah.
Because it's important to know
Mhm.
where we get the information, for sure.
Especially with AI to deal with now. We got a whole new thing coming
Yeah.
down
I know.
the pike for us, and we have to be very careful about that as well. Thank you,
Sharon. We appreciate
Thank you,
you.
Sharon.
Yeah.
We appreciate you very
And
much.
there was one other thing we talked a little bit about before the show, and that's sometimes we see or receive information that is
Is
difficult.
intense messages.
Intense messages, yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to tell a couple of stories about how I talk about the family psychic, the woman who was a wonderful psychic medium, and I started seeing her in my early 20s, which was a very long time. And two times she was able to handle this really well for me. One time when my two sisters and I all lived within about 10 miles of each other, to each of us at one reading or another, she said, your spirit guides have worked so hard to get you three into the same family in this lifetime together. And here you
Oh,
are living within 10 miles. You need to take advantage of it. And it really helped us because it was only maybe like 5 years that we were
Oh,
living that close that we did. She motivated us and to get together a little bit more and really, because
oh,
everybody gets busy with their own life and all that. And I think I thought back about that because years later, when one of my sisters died, I thought, oh, she knew that was going to happen, and she wasn't going to say anything. But the fact that she said what she did gave us wonderful memories of those times together. And also one time she told me, just a little more direct this time. She said, you know, your dad's not going to live to be an old man. He's not going to die tomorrow or next year or whatever. But
Oh,
take this time now and,
yeah.
just knowing that. And with her encouragement, I took the time to try to see him more, to write him a funny note, to go out to his office and give him a little something. And not, at first it was kind of a shock. But she said not to be an old man. Well, maybe he'd be 70 instead of 80 or 80 instead of
Yeah.
90 or
Yeah.
whatever. There was no end point. And it wasn't anything that, it was just kind of the same message. What can you do now to make the most of today?
I love that she did that. She
Yeah.
told you your
Yeah.
dad was going to die young without making it scary.
Yeah. And he died at 61. So
Wow.
I was so glad in both instances that she was focusing on what can I tell the client that would benefit her both now and their relationship and in the future. And
Wow.
I don't know if any of you have had those kinds of things where it's like, no, you're not going to tell somebody that their dad's going to die in 6 years. But I'm glad she told me what she did, and it really enriched my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've received messages like that. I mean, they did say it gently to me. He's not long for this world, but
Yeah.
but then I could pass it along in a more gentle way. I have been reading people once in a while, and I'll see if I see something. If the guides show me something very, very sexual or very, very bloody, the practitioner also has to remember they're in charge. So while I have to pass on what they say, or else why would they talk to me? You know, I still have ethics with them too. I'll say, I can't say that. Or I can't say, you got to show me a different way to get
Yeah.
the point across.
Yeah.
And they do. They do.
Good.
Wow. That's wonderful. That's a great way to do it, though.
Mhm.
Let's say this more gently.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think your psychic lady, she was brilliant.
Oh,
Because
Mhm.
that would be wonderful to know. Oh, my dad's not going to be here forever. I really want to make sure he knows how much I love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Priceless.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, it's an hour, ladies.
Wow.
I can't
this
believe
is
it.
fun.
Great conversation. Great information. I appreciate it. And all
Yes.
the input. I hope it helps our friends out there in the chat world.
Mhm.
So, what is everybody going to do? Oh, wait a minute. We've got next month is Joan's month, isn't it?
Yes.
February is Joan. It's your month, correct? The next Wisdom Circle.
Right. And it's going to be about getting in touch with spirit.
Getting in touch with
Yay.
spirit. I love that. That's going to be a great show. I appreciate you doing that. We've got some really good ones coming up, and the shows are listed in the description of each of our Wisdom Circle videos. And I hope you guys will share these videos with your friends and connections, and hope that it helps them. Because ethics it's a big issue for us, and psychic mediums don't have the greatest reputations, and I think it's time it changed, because I know that we all come from a place of love, and many of our cohorts in this community, that's what they're all about as well, spreading the love. So
And we're not perfect, and we're still learning.
always,
That's right.
I'm
Mhm.
always learning. I don't think you ever stop learning.
Oh, I hope not.
Me too. Life would be boring, wouldn't it, if you stopped learning? Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Anyway, so does anybody have a show coming up? Heather and I have a show tomorrow. Hopefully I'll get it written tonight. It's been a busy time, and I haven't even started it, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. But how about you ladies? Anybody have something going on later today or tomorrow?
What you got, Terry Suzuki?
I don't have a show until Friday with you and
Yay.
Jean.
Oh, that'll be fun.
A psychic triad. I love it.
It's
That's
my next
always
one
good.
too on Friday.
Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, great. What
I'll
about
be
you,
on
Joan?
tomorrow. on Terry Renner's channel, Holding Your
good.
Space. She's going to host me as a guest. And then that's at 4:30 Eastern. And then I do my weekly solo reading on Wednesdays, and that'll be at 5 Eastern.
Fantastic. Well, the Crone Zone's going to have Junosphere on Saturday at 3 p.m.
good.
Eastern. And
Good.
poor Terry Suzuki, she was supposed to be here last Saturday, but that's when I was flying. So she's going to join us February 3rd. So that'll be fun. We always look forward to that. So, well, I guess we can say good day to everybody. Thank you for being here. Please go out and share your love, shine your light, and join us next time.
Thank you,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.